On Jones and Mego with Arcan by former Bruin PJ Stock. What's going on, PJ?
Just living up here in Montreal, watching the NHL playoffs and hoping for a Bruins victory tonight.
Okay, so how big we have all predicted the Bruins to win tonight. We'll get your prediction coming up, which is shocking here in Boston, I know. How much are the Marchand comments basically saying we're running around trying to injure people in the playoffs? How much are they playing in a place like Montreal? And what did you think of those comments from Marchand, sort of saying the quiet part out loud, as we've said?
Well, that's playoff hockey. A lot of times you're talking about how teams are built, and you have players that get you to the playoffs and players that excel in the playoffs. They're just, you need them both, and it's one of those unwritten rules. But you play, it's a 7-game series, and you'll ask almost any individual in professional sports, they all think it's the hardest trophy to win, because to get through it, you got to get through 4 series of 4 games of 7, and half those games are investments into the next game. So what Brad's saying is, hypothetically, if I'm playing against Boston and you're going after Pasternak and Marchand and McAvoy, and your game plan is pretty much, we got to slow them down. It's not a sprint. So anyway, that and Brad said it perfectly, and I love the way that he said it, because it's so true, and no one will say it. But that's what playoff hockey is all about. You never really want to injure anyone.
Why do you think
you want to hurt them just a little bit?
PJ, why do you think the reason you said he said something that nobody ever says? Why do you think they don't say it? Just because it's a bad look, or is it something to do with the refs?
No, hockey is one of those sports that we're kind of stuck in our own way sometimes. We have guys that we're every sport kind of guys get out there. The personality shows. You guys, the Patriots are one of the teams in football that doesn't do it as much. But every sport, hockey's still stuck in in a little bit of a box here. We got to get out there, express ourselves more. If anyone does something different in the locker room, it's just, you kind of treat it as, and if that's what makes our game so special. We do have a certain kind of code and conduct, but at the same time, we kind of stop ourselves from growing it at times as well. Yeah, what Brad said is kind of, everyone knows it. It's just one of those things kind of that no one's really said, because you're worried of the backlash. Football players, baseball players, basketball, they say stuff in the media sometimes and you're like, are you kidding me? Hockey players get the same generic answer. You don't, got the puck deep, work hard, 100%, different teammates. It's just, and that's why we love the hockey player. There's no boasting, there's no bragging, there's kind of, we did it for the team. No matter what, if you got 15 goals that game, it's still, team did well. And if someone comes out and sounds a little cocky, well, everybody else kind of lets him know that he sounded a little cocky.
So, PJ, one other thing that Marchand said was that oftentimes teams that make deep playoff runs aren't small and skilled. They're sort of these bigger, tougher teams. You're a small, tough guy. What did you think of that comment?
The comment that I'm a small, tough guy, or that?
That too.
Seriously, Arcan, watch your mouth over there.
Marchand saying that those type of teams generally don't go far in the playoffs because they're injured.
They are. That's exactly it. So Brad's kind of saying, and that's why that's why they're in such a pickle against Florida, because they're a team that's built that way. Last year, that won the Stanley Cup. You look at Vegas and the way they were built on the back end. 6 big defensemen. The smallest guy was 6'2". They had one great puck mover, but the other guys were just 5 really big bodies that played you really hard. The forwards just played the game hard, and the term is heavy. We play heavy. And you look at, why do you think he went out and get Maroon? It's not because he's going to score you 100 goals. He just knows how to play this time of year. Why does Brad do so well? And he plays a certain way where he competes, and he's heavy on every puck. And why there's teams like Edmonton or Toronto that kind of struggle at times, because they're not built that way. They're built for that track meet that we said before. The Bruins, you look at them, they're not really that sexy. They don't have that many guys, but they just play the right way. Florida's a little bit that way as well. There's a couple of guys in Colorado that are just so talented, but besides that, Dallas, they just are all big, heavy, and play a certain way that it takes to win in the playoffs. And so when Brad said, you know what, you play to kind of hurt the other guy, you do. But it's hard to hurt a guy that weighs 30 pounds more than you. He's a foot taller than you. And that's kind of what it is. And when I said other players in other sports talk about hockey being hard to win, it's because it's every night. It's every night, it's every second night for 2 months. It's a grind. Like, it is a physical grind. And it's, you know, that you never really want to get up by 3 goals or down by 3 goals because you know what's coming. And every play is an investment into the next shift. And the way the Panthers and the Bruins have been playing, it's been amazing to watch. I don't like it that the Bruins are down, but it's been great to watch because it is hard-nosed hockey, slap you in the face. Well, I shouldn't say that with Brad being in the situation he's in, but
right.
And it's the pucks in the corner. It's not about the skill guy. It's kind of who's coming out, who wants it more. And that's kind of what sports are all about in the playoffs. And these two teams kind of are both built that same way, and that's why it's so even. And that's why it's so important that a guy that plays so much important minutes and important moments in the Bruins lineup can hopefully be back in tonight.
Talking to PJ Stock, former Bruin here on Jones and Mego with Arcand. On WEEI, you mentioned Maroon's name in there. He had a comment a few games ago that he's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. He's challenging people to fights. They won't take him. Do you think the Bruins physically have had a lack of response for the Sam Bennett hit?
It's hard in the playoffs, and the games have been close. That's why it's and unfortunately, if Maroon's coming after you, that Maroon's coming after you. There's a lot of other guys that can do something, but you don't really want to hurt the team, and there's a time and place to do it. Trent Frederick's a tough guy. Charlie Coyle can get dirty. Van Riemig's a big boy. McAvoy can throw his weight around. Jake DeBrus plays. I mean, you don't have to smash him over the head, but you don't give him a second off. You don't give him a shift off. You finish every check on him. Every face off, you slash his foot, his hand, you make him know that you can't go out and fight him. That's not what it is. But you can make him know that it's going to be the longest 60 minutes every night of his life. And the next game, it's going to be even longer. And the next game, and that's kind of what they have to have that taste in their mouth. You can't just look at Maroon, who obviously that's the easy answer for people to say, yeah, we'll send the big tough guy out there.
PJ, can you give this speech in the dressing room?
Yeah, they've been, you know what, it's been to the start of their games for me have been a little confusing. So I think it was the last one they got up by 2. One of the games they got up by 2.
That was game 4, yeah.
But game 4, right? They've just been, I don't know what, they've been kind of slow out of the gate a little, and it kind of sets the tempo, takes the crowd out of it, gets the other crowd into it, gives confidence to guys on the other team. Like, hypothetically, let's just pick, I don't know, let's say, well, Barkov's a big boy, but I don't know. Let's say Reinhardt. Let's just say if you're taking away his time and space and you're hard on these guys every second, they get frustrated. Some guys like playing that game. Like a Tkachuk, it's hard to do that to it because he loves that. It's like doing it to Marchand. Marchand only grows in those moments. Some players don't like it. And you got to find who those guys are and just take away their breath. You can't give them any space. And you're hard at every moment. You're a team that's built for these moments. You're a team that's built to have success in the playoffs. You're a team that has experience in the playoffs. You know what it takes. But there's been too many lulls when they've been letting other teams, especially Florida, play hockey. And as Brad said, it's not always about hockey. It's a little bit about an investment into the next shift, into the next period, into the next game. And the Bruins at times haven't been doing that. And they've been giving Florida a little bit of life. And they're a great team. And they have very talented players. And the more space you give them, the more life you give them, the more confidence they get. The more confidence they get, they're just going to play better. And they've been playing better, and that's why they're up. So they got to come out early and kind of like, I don't know how to say this politely, but kick them in.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, right away. And just every shift. and you just every shift you're built a certain way, play to that strength.
PJ,
and when they go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Just finish your answer, and I'll ask you our last question.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that's come out a certain way. And actually, it's a great speech. It's the Any Given Sunday speech that is just, you claw, every inch counts. It's a great. When I was in Boston, we were going on a playoff run. We started off with that. Of course, we lost to the Canadians, but going into it, we were pumped and ready to go. And that's those little moments and little things that you need in your head to get ready before a really important game tonight.
All right. Before we let you go here, PJ, and thanks so much for joining us today. Prediction for tonight, and why have the Bruins have had such a tough time at home all throughout the playoffs recently? Why is that such a problem in Boston? Why don't they play well there?
Well, I know I've been punched in the head a little, but I'm not stupid, so I have to take the Bruins on a Boston radio station.
Right.
So that's
4 for 4. It's unanimous.
All right, check that box. Good.
Good. Okay, so you three are staying employed. That's good.
Yep.
And I'll be allowed back on the show.
Exactly.
So that's perfect. And you're saying why they've been struggling
at home?
You know what? Because the other teams come into the building and just like I said, they simplify. They just play the way the Bruins should be playing. Teams come in and almost beat Boston at their own game sometimes. Their starts have been – they can't get 10 shots in a period to start a game off. Like, they should just come out and just be – and you look – when you sit on the bench and you look up at the scoreboard and you see it's 1-0 for the other team and you have 4 shots, it's demoralizing. Like, you sit there and it just – you're like womp. Like, and you want to say something to the guys, but you can't. And then it just – back and forth about the giving confidence to the other team by their time and space. Well, it's about creating your confidence as well. And sometimes it's like looking up, and sometimes it's making that big hit for the fans to get in with, because the fans can help in those moments. But if you play this slow, boring chess match where you're waiting for this at home, it doesn't work. Boston likes the rowdy stuff. They want to get this ugly. Fans want to get some liquor in them tonight, have a couple cocktails, see the Bruins kick some arse, and win. So make it easy. Just run someone over in the first shift and get the crowd into it and take away the other team's confidence, and the 4 of us will be right.
Okay, well, we're never wrong on this show. That's all I know, PJ Stock.
Never happened.
Former Boston Bruin. We appreciate the time so much. We'll talk to you in the future. Thank you, PJ.